It was a quiet morning in the city of Harvan. Birds sang softly, and children played in the streets. People went about their daily routines without knowing that their lives were about to change forever. Tom, a delivery worker, rode his bicycle down the busy street, carrying a small package. He waved to a neighbor who was watering flowers in front of their home. Across town, Zara, a teacher, was getting ready to take her students to school. The sky was clear and blue, calm as always. Suddenly, a shadow passed over the city. People stopped and looked up, shielding their eyes from the bright sun. The shadow grew larger and darker until it blocked the entire sky. A low humming sound filled the air, vibrating through buildings and shaking the ground beneath their feet. Cars stopped, birds flew in panic, and people screamed in fear. High above the clouds, enormous alien ships appeared. They were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Towering and silver, with sharp edges and glowing lights, they moved silently yet powerfully. Each ship had a strange symbol that pulsed in green light. People froze, staring at the sky, unable to believe what they were seeing. In the city center, government alarms rang loudly. Soldiers ran to their posts while news helicopters hovered above, broadcasting images of the alien ships to the world. Tom and Zara, in separate parts of the city, both watched the sky with wide eyes. Tom stopped his bicycle in the middle of the street, holding his breath. Zara's students crowded around her, their small faces full of confusion and fear. "Everyone stay calm," Zara said, trying to hide her own fear. "We will figure this out together." But calm was impossible. The alien ships began to move closer, descending slowly toward the cities. The air grew heavy, filled with static and a strange smell that reminded Tom of burned metal. Traffic jams formed instantly as people tried to escape. Soldiers fired missiles at the approaching fleet, but the alien shields absorbed every attack without harm. Tom and Zara both noticed something unusual. The aliens did not attack indiscriminately. They avoided certain areas completely. Streets, parks, and neighborhoods were left untouched while other zones were struck with precision. Buildings crumbled, smoke rose into the sky, and chaos spread in the targeted areas. It was clear that these invaders were not random, they had a plan. In the midst of panic, Tom felt a strange mix of fear and determination. He could not stand still while his city was being destroyed. He rode his bicycle toward the outskirts, hoping to find shelter and understand what the aliens wanted. Zara, meanwhile, guided her students into a small, hidden gym in the school. She used her voice to calm them, reminding them to stay quiet and listen carefully. From the hill near the city, Tom watched as the alien ships hovered over the tallest buildings. Tiny crafts descended from the main ships, moving like snakes through the streets. People screamed and ran in every direction. Tom ducked behind a wall, holding his breath as a small alien scout floated past. Its body was sleek, covered in reflective armor, and its eyes glowed blue. It scanned the area with a soft hum, then floated away as if sensing something he could not understand. Zara looked out the gym windows and saw similar scouts moving between the trees. She noticed that when people worked together and stayed close, the aliens hesitated. Small groups moving carefully through streets seemed to confuse the scouts. Zara realized that human unity could be an advantage. Night fell, but the alien ships stayed above the city, their lights glowing brightly like stars turned deadly. Tom found a small group of survivors hiding in a collapsed building. They shared stories of how the aliens had attacked other parts of the city. Everyone was terrified, but there was also a strange sense of hope. Humans had never faced an enemy like this, yet they were still alive and still thinking. Zara and her students spent the night in the gym, listening to distant explosions and strange alien sounds. She held the hands of frightened children and whispered encouragement, reminding them that humans had survived many challenges before. Even in fear, she saw courage forming in their eyes. By morning, the city was quiet again. Smoke rose from the damaged areas, and the alien ships had not left. Tom climbed to the top of a small hill to get a better view. He saw thousands of humans moving carefully through the streets, helping each other, sharing food, and protecting the weak. For the first time, he understood that humans were not powerless. The aliens were strong and strange, but humans had something different: heart, courage, and unity. Zara watched as more scouts moved cautiously through the city. She realized that these visitors, no matter how advanced, had not yet learned the full strength of humans. There was a long fight ahead, but she felt a spark of hope. If humans could stand together, maybe they could survive this invasion. Tom and Zara did not know what the aliens wanted or how the battle would end. But one thing was clear: humanity had faced impossible odds before and had always found a way to endure. The invasion had begun, and the world was changing forever, but humans were not ready to give up. The morning after the alien ships arrived, the city of Harvan was filled with a tense silence. Smoke rose from broken buildings, and streets were littered with debris. Tom moved carefully through the ruins, checking on small groups of survivors. People huddled in basements, alleyways, and parks, fearful of the alien scouts that still moved silently above the streets. Tom had learned to observe the aliens. They did not attack everywhere. Some neighborhoods were untouched. He noticed that when humans stayed together, the scouts hesitated. It was as if they were studying people rather than immediately destroying them. Tom shared his observation with a small group of survivors. "We need to stick together. We confuse them when we move as one," he said. The group nodded, unsure but willing to try. Meanwhile, Zara was guiding her students through quiet streets. She taught them to move in pairs, stay close, and watch the surroundings carefully. "We need to stay calm and work together," she reminded them. The children were scared, but they listened. Zara felt a growing determination in herself. Humans had always faced danger before, and she believed they could do it again. A strange sound came from the sky. A scout descended into a nearby park, its body glowing with blue lights. Its long, thin limbs moved gracefully, scanning everything. Tom and Zara watched from a distance, hiding behind broken walls and trees. The scout did not notice them at first. Tom noticed something unusual. The alien scout stopped near a small group of humans who were helping an injured person. It hovered quietly, then slowly retreated. Tom realized the aliens were not just attacking blindly, they were observing human behavior. Kindness, courage, and cooperation seemed to confuse them. Zara saw the same pattern. When her students helped each other across a damaged street, the scout hesitated. It was the first clear sign that humans had an advantage the aliens did not expect. Zara felt a spark of hope. Maybe humans were stronger than the aliens believed. As the day went on, small groups of humans began to move through the city, cautiously helping others. Tom and Zara guided these groups, showing them safe paths and teaching them to watch the scouts. People shared food, bandaged wounds, and encouraged one another. Despite fear, a sense of unity began to grow. In one abandoned building, Tom found a young boy named Sam hiding alone. Sam had lost his parents in the first attack and was trembling with fear. Tom knelt beside him. "You are not alone," he said gently. "We will get through this together." Sam's eyes brightened slightly. He followed Tom, learning to move quietly and stay safe. Zara, leading her students to a temporary safe zone in a warehouse, realized that the aliens were trying to understand humans, not just destroy them. They scanned faces, listened to voices, and seemed to notice emotions. The children were scared, but they held hands and stayed together. Zara felt proud. Humans had a unique strength. By evening, Tom and Zara met at a collapsed library, bringing together some survivors from different parts of the city. They shared what they had learned about the alien behavior. "They are studying us," Tom said. "They hesitate when we work together. That is our advantage." Zara nodded. We must stay united and calm. That will help us survive. The aliens had not attacked directly yet. Instead, their scouts moved carefully, observing humans from above and from the shadows. Tom and Zara realized that understanding the aliens was the first step to resisting them. They needed to learn how the scouts thought, how they reacted, and how humans could use that knowledge. Night fell, and the city was quiet again. Tom and Zara took turns keeping watch. The scouts moved silently above, their blue lights scanning the streets. The survivors slept cautiously, trusting in the leaders who guided them. Tom thought about the strange pattern of alien behavior. Humans were unpredictable, full of emotion and courage, and that seemed to confuse the aliens. Zara stayed near her students, watching the sky. She whispered softly, "Humans are not easy to understand. We never give up. That is our strength." The children listened, feeling safer with her nearby. Even in fear, they learned to stay brave, to trust one another, and to move carefully. By the end of the night, Tom and Zara knew that the first encounter had taught them something important. The aliens were strong, but humans had something different. Cooperation, courage, and clever thinking could make a difference. Humans had survived countless challenges before, and this invasion would not break them. The city was damaged, people were scared, and the alien threat remained. But a seed of hope had been planted. Humans were learning, adapting, and preparing. The first encounter showed that the aliens might be powerful, but humans were not powerless. The fight had only begun, but Tom, Zara, and the survivors were ready to face the unknown. They had seen the enemy up close and discovered a key truth. Humans had a strength the aliens could not easily understand. And that strength would be the foundation of their resistance. The city of Harvan was quiet but tense. Smoke still rose from broken buildings, and the streets were littered with debris from the first alien attack. Survivors moved carefully, helping each other and avoiding the alien scouts that still patrolled the sky. Tom gathered a small group of people in a hidden courtyard. Farmers, engineers, delivery workers, and students joined him. Each person brought something useful, and together they formed a plan. "We cannot fight them with guns and missiles," Tom said firmly. "They are too strong. But we can use our knowledge of the city and our teamwork. That is our advantage." The group nodded, understanding that survival meant thinking differently. Humans had faced hard times before, and they would use their cleverness now. Zara moved through a different part of the city with her students and other survivors. She taught them how to set simple traps, hide quickly, and confuse the alien scouts. "Watch carefully," she said. "They are smart, but they do not understand everything we do. If we work together, we can make them hesitate." The children listened closely, learning to move with care and caution. The first small strike came near the ruins of the city library. Tom led a team of survivors to block a narrow street with debris and old vehicles. When an alien scout approached, it paused, scanning the blocked path. The humans moved silently, guiding it toward a series of traps. The scout tried to pass but was stopped by the obstacles. It hovered, confused by the humans' actions. Tom and his team watched from behind walls, ready to act if needed. Meanwhile, Zara's group used a clever distraction. She had found mirrors and reflective materials from broken windows. Her students held them to redirect the sunlight into the scouts' glowing eyes. The aliens moved away, unsure how to react. Zara smiled quietly. Humans could fight in ways the aliens never expected. In the following days, humans started using the city itself as a weapon. Engineers set up pulley systems to drop heavy objects onto alien scouts. Farmers taught others to use water and mud to block sensors and confuse alien vision. Small groups coordinated with each other, moving through alleys and tunnels, guiding aliens into dead ends. The aliens were strong, but human creativity and teamwork were unpredictable. Tom and Zara met each evening to share what they had learned. The aliens are studying us, Tom said. They hesitate when we work together. That is why our traps and strategies work. Zara nodded. We need to keep teaching people to cooperate. Every small victory makes a difference. One night, a large alien scout entered a crowded district. Panic spread, but humans were ready. Tom and his team used their traps, guiding the alien into a courtyard surrounded by walls. Zara's group used mirrors to blind its sensors while others blocked escape routes. The alien moved cautiously, then finally retreated, unable to adapt to the combined strategies of humans. The victory was small, but it lifted the spirits of the survivors. People began to see that the aliens were not invincible. They were intelligent, yes, but human creativity, courage, and teamwork were powerful weapons. Even children contributed by guiding scouts or warning others of danger. Every action mattered. Tom looked at the city from a high rooftop. Smoke and ruins were everywhere, but humans were moving through the streets, helping each other, setting traps, and protecting the weak. He felt a spark of hope. Humans were not just surviving, they were fighting back. Zara watched her students work together, carrying supplies, setting up barriers, and sharing food. She realized that humans had something the aliens could not understand: resilience. Fear did not stop humans from acting. Determination and unity gave them strength beyond weapons and technology. Over the next week, humans continued to adapt. They learned to predict alien movements, communicate silently, and move quickly through the city. Tom and Zara taught people to stay calm under pressure and to use every advantage the city offered. The aliens began to hesitate more and more. Human actions were not random, they were coordinated, clever, and bold. By the end of the week, the alien presence in Harvan had changed. Scouts were fewer, more cautious, and slower to act. Humans were still in danger, but they were no longer helpless. They had learned to fight in their own way, using their intelligence, creativity, and courage. Tom and Zara met on a quiet rooftop at sunset. We have started something important, Tom said. They may be stronger than us, but we are smarter together. Zara nodded, watching the orange sky. This is only the beginning. Humans can face anything if we stand united and think carefully. The first strike had shown that survival was possible. The second strike, and the first small victories, proved that humans could fight back. Tom, Zara, and the survivors now knew that the aliens could be challenged, and that human courage and ingenuity would be their greatest weapon. The city was battered, the streets were dangerous, and the aliens were still watching. But for the first time, humans felt hope. They were not just victims. They were fighters. They were clever, brave, and united. And they were ready for whatever the aliens would try next. Harvan was still in ruins, but humans had started to adapt to the alien presence. Streets were quieter as survivors moved carefully, sharing information about the scouts and their movements. Tom and Zara had become leaders of small groups, guiding people, setting traps, and teaching others how to stay safe. One morning, reports came from several districts. Alien squads that had entered certain areas never returned. Scouts that had been active in the streets disappeared without a trace. At first, people were afraid. They thought something worse had happened. But soon, curiosity replaced fear. Tom and Zara decided to investigate. Tom led a small team into one of the districts where the aliens had vanished. The streets were empty, but signs of activity were everywhere. Buildings were intact, though some were damaged. The aliens had been here, but they had left without explanation. Tom noticed small details: a knocked-over crate, a bent metal fence, and footprints that did not belong to humans. They went in, but they never came out, Tom said. His team looked around carefully, trying to understand what had happened. Something is stopping them. We need to find out what it is. Meanwhile, Zara's group investigated another district. They found similar patterns. The aliens had moved through streets and alleys but did not return. Zara observed the environment carefully. The aliens avoided certain areas and seemed hesitant near human traps and coordinated groups. It was as if they did not understand how humans used the city itself to their advantage. Tom's team explored further. They discovered that humans had set up small defenses without even realizing it. Fallen trees, barricades, and even water from broken pipes had blocked alien movement. The scouts had tried to pass but could not adapt quickly. The aliens were intelligent, but the humans' creativity and understanding of their own city were unpredictable. Zara gathered her group to explain what they had learned. The aliens are strong, but they are not perfect. They do not know how we think, how we work together, or how we use our environment. That is why some of them disappear. We have an advantage they cannot easily overcome. The children listened closely, feeling proud that humans could confuse such a powerful enemy. In the following days, humans experimented carefully. They set up small traps and lured scouts into areas where teamwork and clever designs could stop them. Some scouts moved quickly, but others became confused or trapped. Each successful test gave humans more confidence. They began to understand that the aliens' strength could be challenged by observation, strategy, and collaboration. Tom and Zara coordinated their groups more effectively. They used signals to communicate silently across streets. Scouts were observed closely, and their patterns were studied. Humans learned that patience and planning were as powerful as any weapon. A group of engineers created simple noise traps that redirected alien movements, while children guided others safely through hidden paths. One evening, a large alien scout entered a carefully prepared district. Tom and Zara's teams were ready. The scout hovered over streets blocked by debris and fallen metal beams. It tried to analyze the area, but humans moved quickly and silently, guiding it toward a path with mirrors reflecting sunlight into its sensors. The scout hesitated, then retreated. Zara smiled. Each time we learn more, we become stronger. We are teaching them something they do not expect. That is our power. Tom nodded, looking at the group of survivors. People were tired but determined. Fear had not disappeared, but it had turned into courage. Humans were learning how to survive, how to confuse the aliens, and how to use their city to their advantage. Each day brought new lessons, and each success built confidence. The missing alien units had shown humans that they were not powerless. The aliens could study humans, but humans could also study the aliens. Knowledge and teamwork gave humans a strength no machine or weapon could take away. Tom and Zara realized that these small victories were just the beginning. The more humans learned, the more the aliens' power was challenged. By nightfall, survivors gathered in small groups across the city, sharing information and helping each other. The streets were safer because humans had learned to move together, use traps, and remain calm under pressure. Tom and Zara watched from a high rooftop, proud of what people had achieved. The aliens are strong, Tom said quietly, but they are not unstoppable. We are learning faster than they can adapt. Zara nodded. Humans are clever, brave, and united. That is something they cannot take away. Every day, we grow stronger. In the darkness, alien ships remained in the sky, watching, studying, and waiting. But humans had discovered a hidden advantage. They were not helpless. They had intelligence, courage, and unity on their side. The missing units were proof that even the strongest enemy could be confused and challenged by human creativity and cooperation. The city of Harvan was still in danger, but hope burned brightly. Humans were learning, adapting, and growing stronger every day. The first victories were small, but they mattered. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would shape the coming battles. The city of Harvan had changed. Streets were no longer silent with fear, but alive with careful activity. Survivors moved in groups, sharing information and watching the skies. Tom and Zara had become leaders, teaching people how to stay safe and use clever strategies against the alien scouts. Humans had learned much from the first encounters, but they wanted more. One morning, Tom and Zara received a report. A small alien scout had been trapped by a group of survivors near the old train station. It had been caught in a net made from metal wires and debris. The scout had not escaped, and it moved slowly, trying to understand the situation. Tom's heart raced. This was an opportunity to learn more about the enemy. Tom led a team to the train station. They moved quietly, avoiding drawing attention from other scouts above. Zara followed with her group of students and helpers, carrying water and supplies. The trapped scout hovered in the net, glowing softly with blue light. It moved its limbs carefully, trying to test the humans. But it could not escape. "Look closely," Tom whispered. "We need to see how it reacts. Every movement can teach us something." The humans observed the scout for hours. They noticed how it scanned objects, how it responded to light, and how it reacted to sound. When they made sudden movements, the scout hesitated. When they worked together, it seemed confused. Humans realized that the scout could analyze situations, but it could not predict human creativity and cooperation. Zara suggested using simple communication tests. She held up shapes and signs, and the scout responded with changes in its glowing patterns. It seemed curious, as if trying to understand the humans. Zara smiled. "Even the smartest alien can be studied. We can learn from this encounter." Engineers and scientists from the survivor groups examined the scout more carefully. They discovered that its glowing lights were connected to its sensors and that it relied on patterns to understand movement. When humans acted unpredictably, the scout could not keep up. Tom realized that unpredictability was one of humanity's strongest tools. Over the next few days, the humans experimented safely with the scout. They tested how it reacted to barriers, reflections, sounds, and light. Every experiment taught them something new. The scout was intelligent, but its intelligence had limits. Humans could use creativity, strategy, and teamwork to overcome its strengths. Zara gathered her students and other children. "Watch how we work together," she said. "Even small actions can confuse them. If we cooperate, think carefully, and stay brave, we can survive and protect each other." The children listened and practiced moving together, setting up small obstacles, and observing how the scout reacted. Tom organized groups across different parts of the city to apply what they had learned. Barricades were placed in narrow streets, mirrors reflected sunlight into the scout's eyes, and water was used to block sensors. Humans worked quietly, carefully, and strategically. Each action made the scout slower, more cautious, and easier to predict. One evening, a larger scout appeared near a crowded district. Humans had prepared carefully. The scout hovered, scanning the streets. Tom signaled silently to the teams. Mirrors were raised, barricades guided the scout into a narrow path, and small noises distracted it from escaping. The scout moved carefully, then finally retreated, unable to handle the combined strategies of humans. Zara smiled as she watched the children celebrate quietly. "We are learning faster than they can adapt. Every day, we understand more about them." Tom nodded. "Knowledge is power. We are not just surviving anymore. We are learning how to fight back in our own way." The captured scout became a symbol for the survivors. It showed that humans could study the enemy and find weaknesses. Humans had no advanced technology like the aliens, but they had something the aliens could not easily defeat: courage, creativity, and the ability to learn quickly. By the end of the week, humans were more confident. Streets were still dangerous, and alien scouts were still present, but the people of Harvan were no longer helpless. They had learned to use their environment, cooperate, and observe carefully. Every small victory gave them strength and hope. Tom and Zara met on a rooftop at sunset, looking over the city. Smoke still rose from damaged buildings, but humans were moving confidently through the streets. "We are learning faster than they can," Tom said. "Every day, we grow stronger." Zara nodded, watching the horizon. "Humans have a gift that no alien can easily match. We think, adapt, and work together. That is our power. If we keep learning, we will survive." The captured scout was a reminder that humans could face the unknown, study it, and use it to their advantage. It showed that intelligence alone was not enough to conquer the humans of Earth. Courage, unity, and clever thinking made humans a force the aliens could not easily defeat. The city of Harvan was still at risk, but its people had hope. They had learned how to use strategy, observation, and teamwork to fight back. The aliens were strong, but humans had something more powerful: the ability to adapt, learn, and stand together. The next stage of the battle was approaching, but Tom, Zara, and the survivors were ready. They had learned from the enemy, and that knowledge would guide them in the challenges ahead. Humanity had found its strength in intelligence, courage, and unity, and nothing could take that away. The sky over Harvan was filled with tension. The alien fleet had returned, larger and more organized than ever. Enormous ships hovered above the city, casting shadows over buildings and streets. Humans had prepared carefully. Tom and Zara had spent weeks teaching people how to work together, set traps, and anticipate the aliens' movements. "Today is the day we show them our strength," Tom said to a group of survivors gathered on a high rooftop. "We have learned from their scouts, and we know their weaknesses. Stay calm, follow the plan, and work together." Zara led another team in the streets below. Children, adults, and workers moved quietly, carrying supplies, mirrors, and simple devices designed to distract and confuse the aliens. Everyone knew their role. Humans were no longer hiding, they were ready to fight in their own way. The alien scouts descended first, moving quickly through the streets. Their glowing blue eyes scanned everything, searching for human activity. Tom signaled his team silently. Barricades had been placed in key areas to guide the scouts toward narrow streets and dead ends. Mirrors reflected sunlight into their sensors, and water blocked their movement. The scouts hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Zara's group moved carefully, guiding people through safe paths and alerting teams to incoming scouts. Children helped by signaling quietly when a scout approached. Each human acted with precision and courage, using teamwork and observation to control the battlefield. The larger alien ships began to descend, preparing for a final strike. Humans watched from rooftops and streets, ready to use everything they had learned. Tom looked at the city below and felt a surge of pride. People were not panicking. They were working together, thinking carefully, and acting with courage. As the alien ships approached, humans executed their plan. Barricades, mirrors, and water traps created confusion. The scouts moved cautiously, unable to act decisively. Human signals guided them into zones where teams waited quietly. When a scout moved too close, a small noise or reflection forced it to retreat. Slowly, the aliens began to struggle. Zara moved through the streets, coordinating with other teams. She saw a scout trapped in a narrow alley. Children and adults guided it carefully, keeping it confused and blocked. The alien tried to adapt, but human teamwork was too strong. The scout finally retreated, unable to pass the carefully prepared defenses. Tom signaled his team for the final stage. Humans had saved their best strategy for last. Using knowledge from the captured scout, they created a controlled zone where the alien sensors would be overloaded. Mirrors, water, and carefully timed movements guided the larger ships toward the trap. The aliens hesitated, then entered the zone slowly. The plan worked perfectly. The larger ships moved cautiously, and humans used every advantage to confuse them. Signals, reflections, and obstacles forced the aliens into positions they could not control. The ships hovered uncertainly, unable to strike effectively. Humans had turned the city itself into a weapon. Zara watched from a rooftop as the alien ships began to retreat. They moved slowly at first, then faster, finally leaving the city. Smoke and debris filled the streets, but the humans of Harvan had won. They had faced the strongest force Earth had ever seen and survived. Tom and Zara gathered the survivors in the main square. People cheered quietly, still cautious but filled with relief and pride. "We have done something incredible," Tom said. "We have shown that humans are not powerless. Courage, teamwork, and intelligence are our greatest weapons." Zara nodded, looking at the children and adults who had worked together. "We fought with our minds and hearts. We used what the aliens could not understand. That is why we survived. That is why we won." The city was damaged, but hope burned brightly. Survivors moved through the streets, helping each other, clearing debris, and checking on those still trapped. Tom and Zara led teams to assist wherever needed, showing that humanity's strength was not only in battle but also in care and unity. The alien fleet had retreated, but humans knew they could return. Still, the victory gave them confidence. They had learned the aliens' weaknesses, mastered teamwork, and shown courage beyond fear. Earth had faced a threat no other planet had survived, and humans had proven that their intelligence and unity were unmatched. Night fell over Harvan, but the city felt alive with quiet triumph. Survivors shared stories of bravery, clever strategies, and small victories. Children laughed quietly while adults repaired barricades and set up safe zones. Humans had learned that even in the darkest times, courage and teamwork could overcome fear and danger. Tom and Zara stood together on a high rooftop, looking at the city below. "We have won today," Tom said, "but this is only the beginning. We have shown what humans can do when we work together." Zara smiled. "Humans are strong, clever, and brave. Nothing can take that away. We will rebuild, learn more, and be ready for anything." The aliens had underestimated Earth. Humans had turned fear into strength, chaos into strategy, and weakness into courage. The final confrontation proved that humanity's greatest weapons were heart, mind, and unity. The city of Harvan survived, and humans had shown that no enemy, no matter how powerful, could easily defeat them. The alien fleet had disappeared from the sky. Harvan was quiet, but the city was not the same. Streets were damaged, buildings were broken, and smoke still rose from the ruins. Yet despite the destruction, humans were alive, stronger, and united. Tom and Zara walked through the streets, observing survivors helping one another. People carried water, shared food, and cleared debris. The spirit of humanity was alive in every action. Tom knelt to help a child move a heavy piece of wood blocking a street. "We are rebuilding together," he said gently. The child smiled and joined the effort. Everywhere, humans worked side by side. The aliens had tried to conquer Earth, but they had underestimated the power of cooperation, courage, and intelligence. Zara guided her students through the streets. She stopped to help an elderly woman who had fallen. "We will take care of each other," she said. The children nodded, understanding that survival was not only about defending themselves but also about helping others. The lessons learned during the invasion had transformed them. Courage and teamwork were no longer just strategies, they were part of who they were. In the city square, survivors gathered. Tom and Zara addressed the crowd. "We faced the strongest force Earth has ever seen," Tom said. "We were scared, but we did not give up. We worked together, used our minds, and stayed brave. That is why we are alive today." Zara continued, "The aliens underestimated humans. They did not know that we can adapt, think, and cooperate. That is our greatest strength. We are stronger when we stand together, and we will never forget that." People cheered quietly, proud of what they had accomplished. Small victories had grown into a large triumph. The captured scout, the clever traps, the teamwork in the streets, all of it had shown humans that intelligence, courage, and unity were more powerful than any weapon. Over the next days, the survivors focused on rebuilding. Buildings were repaired, streets were cleared, and safe zones were established. Humans shared food, treated the injured, and comforted those who had lost loved ones. Even in the midst of destruction, people found hope and strength in one another. Tom worked with engineers to create better defenses in case the aliens returned. Zara taught her students new strategies and survival skills. They knew the aliens might come back, but they also knew that humans had learned lessons the invaders could not easily forget. Knowledge, courage, and teamwork had become their most powerful tools. At night, the city was quiet but alive. Fires burned safely in small areas, and the stars shone brightly in the sky. Tom and Zara stood on a rooftop, looking at the city below. "We survived because we never gave up," Tom said. "We learned from each other, from our mistakes, and from the enemy. That made all the difference." Zara nodded. "Humans are not just survivors. We are thinkers, learners, and helpers. The aliens could not understand our spirit. That is why we won." Children played quietly in the streets, learning from their parents and teachers. Adults shared stories of courage, clever strategies, and teamwork. Everyone understood that the invasion had changed them. Humans were stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. Tom visited the captured scout one last time. It had been kept safely, observed by scientists. The alien moved slowly but no longer glowed as brightly as before. Humans had learned from it, and perhaps it had learned something about humans too. Tom felt a quiet satisfaction. Knowledge and understanding had become a bridge between fear and courage. Zara continued teaching her students that true strength was in helping each other. She reminded them that intelligence, courage, and cooperation were more powerful than fear or weapons. Children listened carefully, knowing that these lessons would guide them for the rest of their lives. Weeks passed, and Harvan slowly returned to life. Markets reopened, families reunited, and schools began teaching again. The city was scarred, but the spirit of humanity was unbroken. People moved forward with pride, knowing they had faced an enemy stronger than any they had imagined and had survived together. Tom and Zara stood together in the city square, looking at the faces around them. "We have proven that humans are strong," Tom said. "Not because of weapons, but because of our courage, intelligence, and unity." Zara smiled. "This is the story of humans who refused to give up. We learned, we adapted, and we protected each other. That is what makes us truly powerful." The alien invasion had ended, but the lessons remained. Humans had discovered the strength in unity, the power of intelligence, and the importance of courage. Earth was safe for now, and its people were stronger than ever. The story of Harvan and its survivors would be remembered for generations, a reminder that even in the darkest times, humanity could rise, adapt, and triumph. Tom and Zara walked through the streets, side by side, proud of what humans had achieved. They knew the future could still hold challenges, but one thing was certain: humans were ready. They had faced the impossible and survived. Humanity had triumphed.